Alright guys, it's Matt with Thrive Off Grid. Alright, so this is the 2026 CFX gasifier. So it's, as you can see, it's changed a little bit. All the bolt-on parts are now stainless steel. The doors and the hopper lid are stainless. And then what used to be the water tank is now a guard infrastructure for the water pump, and that is also now stainless steel. That's really the only thing that separates the 2026 model from the 2025 model. Yeah, I kind of skipped that, but the 2025 unit really hasn't changed since last year, other than the nozzle is now the boiler nozzle. So, but I had to make some changes to the water tank system because that wasn't working. There's three main things that we were battling with that. One is surface tension with water. You know how bugs can land on water and not sink. That surface tension, and that can stop water flows when you're dealing with small lines like that. So that's one issue. Then we have the heat issue as the water is heating up. It's changing. It's expanding and retracting, right? So that's going to change your flows. So if you have a static setting on a valve, right, and that's changing, your flow is not going to your flow is going to change because of that. So you have to constantly compensate for that. And then you have the head pressure. So, you know, the amount of water in your tank, you know, a full tank is going to have more water weight to push the water through the valve, right? So as water is being consumed, that's also changing. So you're constantly fighting all these things, right? So we've done away with that, and then we went to an RV pump. So now there's a small pump inside of here. So you can see it there. So now that's bolted to this, and then this is vented to create a draft, to draft cool air through it to keep that pump cool. And, you know, also keep it on the unit, keep it compact, because that is the point of this machine, is it can do a lot in a small package, right? I added a valve here. This is to help it speed the ignition process. So now you have this closed, so now you're going to have more of a draft to pull in your ignition source to get the unit lit. And then now you're going to have two cords, power cords. One is for your pump, and then the other one is the exact same for your blower. All right, so now these blowers are AC/DC, right? And what I do now is I set them up for DC. So I added instead of giving you the speed control for the AC router speed control, I've gone to a 24 volt step-up module. So this goes 12 volt input on this cable, and then this converts it to, this steps up the voltage to 24 volt, and that gets that into a speed range that is perfect for this gasifier, right? And you can get different ones. You can get 36 volt, 48, and they go on up to 96 volt, I think. So you can control your blower speed by replacing these modules, and these are widely available on Amazon, eBay. They're not too terribly expensive. They're between, I don't know, 20 and 30 bucks. And then I give you these cables, and they got on-off switches. Same thing with the water pump. So I'm gonna turn that off. Alright, so I'm gonna go back to the water pump here, and there's one other thing that I supply you with, and that's your pickup tube. And then right where you plug your power in, right here, right, I'm back out so you can kind of see that. There's the tank. So this line comes down, and then you got your power cord here. Now you're just gonna attach this hose like so, right? So now that's attached. Now I got a 5-gallon bucket here with water in it, and crap from when I drilled the hole. Sorry, I gotta clean that out. I don't want that getting sucked into my pump. But anyways, I got a hole that I drilled here. Again, water. It's about a little over halfway full. And this is really nice because you can, instead of being limited to that pump, constantly filling that, you can just carry the bucket away and fill it and bring it to the machine. A lot easier and a lot more capacity. 5 gallons versus 5 liters, right? That's a pretty big difference. Alright, so then I got my cord here. I got that away from the machine. Really from where actually from right here. This actually stays pretty cool right here. So you don't gotta worry too much about this getting burnt. But yeah, you do want to try to keep this cord away from the machine. And another thing too is your blower, you're going to want wired to a battery that your generator is going to recharge. You're most likely going to have electric start. I wouldn't wish pull start with wood gas combination on anyone. You'll destroy your back. You definitely want electric start when you're doing wood gas. Just makes your life easier. But here I don't. I'm gonna run on gasoline to get this started. But that may not be practical for some people because they may want to totally get rid of gasoline altogether. I'm gonna turn my breaker off before we get started. Okay, so the water pump, you're gonna want to wire that into your 12 volt DC. These are usually 10 amp, and that's plenty enough to run the pump, right? Now the idea of that is if this stalls out for whatever reason, it's not going to supply 12 volts DC to the pump, and then the pump shuts off, right? And now you're not going to flood your unit out with water because the pump will be off along with the engine, right? So you're going to want to have them wired to 2 different supplies. One is the 12 volt supply on the generator itself, and then the other one's to the battery for the starter. Okay, now when you get the unit, you're going to have your hoses, your mixer valve, the ammo box, the filter media that comes with it, the power cords, your water pickup tube, and then the blower itself will also be removed from the gasifier. That'll be in its box that ships to us in. And then this hose right here will be disconnected here, and then we leave this right on the blower, this hose clamp. And then this just hangs, and then this goes inside the gasifier to protect it, make sure it don't get busted by shipping. And then you just basically unbox it, and then it just threads onto the fusion right there via that adapter. And then you're gonna have your hot hose, your ammo box filter, and then I give you a complete box of the Scotch-Brite pads, and you're gonna put all of them but 3 in here like so, right? And then the remaining 3 you're gonna lay them on top, and then I typically push them all the way to the back so you can see that gap right there. And also you notice there's a screen here that has one clamped, and that's just to make sure that there's no possible way any carbon dust can get past that, because that carbon dust will smoke your rings in a heartbeat. Alright, so that's what that looks like. And then you'll have to screw your mixer valve onto the your ammo box, and then I supply you with your engine adapter. This has two adapters. It has an adapter for the adapter because this is a 212. This is not designed to run this small of a generator, so I do not supply any of these parts to make this work, because it's just not practical. It's on gasoline, it's a great little generator, but on wood gas, it's only worth about 800 watts, and that's not very usable, at least not in my case. I need at least 1500. The CFX, the older versions were running between 17 and 2200 watts, depending on what day it was and what fuel I had, and other circumstances. One thing about gasification, it is not linear, and it never will be. Unlike gasoline, where that's standardized fuel, it's always going to be constant. Where charcoal, it's going to be reliant on you to do that. So if you have different wood species and different fuel types, you're going to have varying results all the time. Alright, so I think we got all of our bases covered. But yeah, when you have your generator, you're going to have a air cleaner box that's bolted to the carburetor. You basically just unbolt that entire box, keep it, whatever, set it aside. You're not going to need that. And then our adapter, this part right here, not that part right there, that bolts in place of the air cleaner, and then that is it. Now if you want to have an air cleaner on it, then just leave it plugged in your ammo box, but it'll probably run really rich on gasoline that way. You know, these are generators. They're a stationary device. And the small engines that they put in them, it's just a standard that they put a filter on them. But not every application needs a filter. Like if you had a go-kart or a lawn tractor or some kind of application that moves and it's going to be subject to kicking up dust and things like that, yes, it needs a filter. Generator, it doesn't move. It doesn't go anywhere. It might suck up a bug. Unless you live next to a farm and they're plowing the fields every day, you're not really going to suck in a lot of dust. And you're running wood gas, so dust is the least of your problems if you're converting to wood gas. In my experience, the wood fuel, as long as you're running clean, you know, as long as you can clean your gas, it's not going to hurt the generator one bit. But if you're getting tar and heavy carbon into it, it will reduce the longevity of the rings. And then the tar is not good because it gets into the oil and it gets everywhere, and there's no way to get it out. You pretty much have to rebuild the entire engine, clean all that gunk out. That's why I don't do wood fuel anymore. I'm charcoal only. I'll never do a wood gasifier again. And then with this machine, I mean, this machine, it costs what it does for a reason, because it's pretty much, it is a Ferrari of gasification. This machine makes clean gas. So, yeah, the only other thing, I got fuel. And if you're wondering about the fusion in the back, all that is a gas cooler. And so basically, you know, we don't want to be drawing gas straight out of the reactor, right? So we got to cool it. in order to keep it compact, we developed a gas cooler, and basically this just has a partition in the center of it, so gas comes in the bottom, goes up around the partition and along the bottom. Maybe someday we might do them in aluminum, and that would really knock the heat out of the gas. But I mean, it does what it needs to do, especially for the generator size that this is intended to run. This is intended for your typical off-the-shelf generator that's going to be 400 to 500 cc's, 10 kilowatt power generator. That's what this is designed to do, or run. Now you can run bigger, and of course you can always team these. All you need to do is build a filter. Yeah, here's one. So this is a drum filter I built. You could put as many intakes as you want all the way around it, and you could have an array of like 10 of these pumped into a single drum filter. Then maybe add more filters if you need additional cooling, and you could run a V8 with one of this. And then you got refueling on the fly. You're not dealing with auger systems that are going to break and jam and require power, massive amount of power to run a little mortar so it doesn't jam. Because if you have it underpowered, it's going to jam, I promise. And it'll be really unreliable. That's why nobody's doing it. There's a reason nobody's doing augers, because they don't work. Anything electronic on a gasifier just doesn't work. Too much heat, too many variables. Pretty much giving up. I'm rolling with what I know works, and this machine works. This machine, this is it. This is the last time you're ever going to see me make a change to this machine. That's it. Unless for some reason that pump arrangement don't work out, which I don't see that happening. I may have to put some insulation in there, I don't know, but that's why I'm going to test it tonight. So yeah, this is a more expensive gasifier now. So now I got the Versifier coming, and this has been reinvented, basically. The gasometer system, which is actually over here. This actually worked. I'm not calling it a fail, because it actually did work, but it's not a viable product to produce, manufacture, and then it wasn't something I felt the user would be able to maintain and keep running. Like I said, this thing has so much automation, any little piece of it, if it were to broke, it'd be a nightmare to diagnose and get it working again. So I'm going a different path. So this is sort of like the CFX. It's just this is more in the realm of DIY, and that's basically where I'm going to be going with it. I'm not going to manufacture a whole lot for it. There's some parts I'll produce, like the grate system, the manifold for the wood fuel jets, and the there's going to be a hinge kit set up for the lid, but this is basically built out of tanks. And then I'll supply you with the flanges and then all the parts that I manufacture for it. My jet, this is going to have a boiler jet, and this is a dual fuel gasifier. So this is really basically a continuation of what the DFX was. Except for I'm taking the Versifier name to go with it, because that works with it too, and I think it's more marketable. It's all about marketing. So this is going to be the Versifier, and this will come in kits, and then I may do like prefab kits. It'll still come on unassembled, but that's the idea. Is this is going to be more viable to sell cheaper and low cost. The less I have to put into it, the cheaper I can sell it, right? So, and I think if I can get something cheap on the market that actually works, I'll have a good product there. Will it outperform this machine? No. I'll tell you straight up. Unlikely you're gonna find a machine that'll outperform this one, because this thing, it can drink quite a bit of water. Last year I had this thing consuming 5 liters of water per 10 gallons of charcoal, and that's pretty incredible. That's nearly 40% of the energy output of the machine is coming from just the water alone, without the charcoal. So that's less charcoal you need to make, right? The water is pretty much free. So the more water we can get in it, the better, the more efficient it's going to be, and then less charcoal you have to make. And if you think you're getting all these losses making charcoal, you're missing it, because that water puts most of that back. And then with the new kiln system, with the 2-stage, because now it has the upper kiln stage, which pre-dries the wood, that cuts the amount of fuel you need for the retort process, the charcoaling process, nearly in half. So you're hardly burning any wood at all to make your charcoal. Once you get it in gasification mode, it'll self-sustain on its own. So yeah, I've exceeded the 50-50 goal that I was trying to get. Was when I first started out, I was getting like 30% net output of my gross, and then I got it up to 50%, and now I'm well over that. It's pretty close to 70%. So about 30% of what I'm trying to make is what I need that for the actual fuel, and then the water puts that back. And then with the retort kiln thing, you could do put a hot water loop, hot water coil. This could produce your hot water daily, and that alone will give you an incentive just to make a batch of charcoal every day. You'll have more charcoal than you know what to do with. So, and that's something else I'm working on, is a kit to DIY the 2-stage kiln retort that I've developed. But this is 2 years in now, so, and that's been working out really well. The only problem is this is I built these out of 55 gallon, and I had 30 gallon inner drums, and it's just too much for me. So I am going to downsize it to something. Actually, I'm going to use my retort and my kiln vessels. They're going to be the outer shells for the next one. Then I'm going to go to smaller drums on the inside. But that's coming in another video, maybe next week, as soon as I get time. Alright, so yeah, I kind of got off the demo here, because that's what this is supposed to be about, is showing you how to set this up and run it. Alright, so I pretty much covered all that. Alright, so now so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hose off, and then I got this little dealie right here. We're going to put that on. Okay, so that's my exhaust port, and I got that blocked off. Now if you wanted to, you could put a valve here, but we have to supply this dust cap anyway to keep you from banging that up when you're moving it. So that's what we're doing. Now I'm gonna open my valve here, turn my blower on. Alright, so now I'm going to set it down. So right here is the ignition port. She's good and sealed. And I want that to penetrate in there a good ways before I open this up. Alright, so that's probably, well, now you want to see something in here. If you don't see any glowing, you might want to let it go a little longer. Because otherwise it'll just pass right over it and it'll go out, right? You can poke around in there if you need to. And I'll set you outside here. Okay, now I see. Don't put that on too tight. Just plenty enough. It's not gonna fall off. Alright, so now I got, right, and now I got a good amount of smoke coming out. Now, set you on top of the generator here. Alright, so alright, so I know it looks pretty, but I mean that is only to get this thing started, and we saw what we needed to see here. So now I'm gonna set you over here and I'm gonna try to get this going. I got a little bit of gasoline in the front float bowl, so I'm gonna get the generator started on gasoline, and then I'll hook it up and start it up that way. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my power supply. Well, this here is 12 volts of power supply. I got that on Amazon. It's about 30 amps. If you don't have a battery, right? I'm going to unplug it here. Hold on. Pump on. Woo. That didn't take long. You don't want it wet in there. See how wet it is? You don't want to see that. I can feel it pumping. That's kind of cool. It's not really quite warmed up yet, so you don't. The water should totally evaporate. You shouldn't see any water. You want to see a steam come out. There's a small hole in the top in there. And you'll see steam injecting out, and that's what you're after. Also, never keep your eye in direct alignment, because if it backfires, it can burn you. You'll be missing your eyeballs. Not too much. I barely got that cracked open, right? That is really fine-tuned. You gotta be very careful, don't overdo it. It's really tiny adjustment. But you see how it's flashing like that? You see that? That pulsing? That's the steam. That's what you want to see. That's the steam injecting out of there. Leave it be. We got a pretty good clip going now. Alright, so bringing it around shop's kind of a mess. Got my my 68 here. Yeah, it's kind of a mess over here. I'm gonna be moving the this EG4 setup into the RV this winter. It was way too cold last year, and I'm gonna wreck my batteries if I don't keep them warm. So I'm gonna put all this inside the RV, and then plug the shop basically into the RV. Oh man. You know what? Oh, you can actually see it. Yeah, now look how slow this thing ramps up. You see the amps? I've got it set for 15 amps. That's about 800 watts at 54 volts. Of course, it's going to be 52.7. Alright, so that's 15 amps, and you can still hear it running. So it's doing that no problem. So yeah, I got the onboard charger, but the problem with that is when this is in the charging mode, it doesn't just supply the power to the battery and then the battery goes back to the inverter. That's not how it works. The charger charges the batteries, and then the batteries are isolated from the inverter, and then the power is going direct through the inverter. So now not only do you have to supply the load to the charger, you also have to supply the load to the entire shop, and that doesn't work when, especially with wood gas on a little engine. So I got the charge inverter where that's completely isolated. So now all my power is going straight down the battery, then from my battery into the inverter, and then I got the full 6 kilowatts. So yeah, I mean, I am not limited with power. I'm limited. My only limit is going to be how much power I got stored in these batteries. But otherwise, I always have 6 kilowatts available to me, regardless of what I'm running out there. So anyways, so yeah, I'll give you a quick look at this guy. So it's my 68 K10 short box I'm working on. Trying to get the sheet metal done before this winter. Maybe even driving it this fall. Oh, another thing I got coming is I got a generator kit that I'm gonna develop. This year are parts for the TPM. And I just can't compete with what's on the market. I can't build it cheaper than what you know, these guys are mass producing this stuff for. So I'm not gonna try to do that, but there's still a need for a power system for us off-gridders that use this stuff, use these engines on like every day, you know, or we're, you know, these off-the-shelf power generators, they're made for, you know, a power outage or, you know, a job site. They're not intended to be ran 4 to 8 hours a day. So you're gonna wear them out in short order. The 4 extra of those Predator 95s, I got almost 3 years out of each one of those. But now I got the Duramax, and then I got a North Star power head. So these two systems are divorced from one another, and you know, 2 years down the road, if you wear that engine out, not only can you replace it, but you can also get rebuild parts for it. Where a generator, those parts aren't actually available. They want you to buy a brand new generator. They don't want you fixing it, and they're really not even worth it because there's so much work involved. It's cheaper just to buy a new one than it is to put all that labor into it. Right? So so the idea here is I'm gonna build a kit. It's not gonna come with the engine or any of that stuff, but it's gonna just be designed to be universal, to work with the Predator and the Duramax, and then the North Star generator head. And then you just buy my kit, and then you choose what head you want, and then what engine you want to put on it. You know, if the first go around you think the 212cc is gonna work good for you, run that. A year later, you change. Oh, that wasn't big enough. I want a bigger one, and then you could go to a bigger one, or you can go up to the V-twin. This kit is gonna accommodate all engine sizes up to this V-twin. So that's gonna be coming. So I got the Predator V-twin. I got the Duramax 713cc V-twin. I got 3 of these North Star heads, and then I also got the Duramax 500cc engine right here. I was trying to do the DIY inverter generator, but you know what, screw them things. Inverter, if you're off grid, you don't want an inverter generator, just get a charge inverter, because that basically is an inverter. You don't need to don't spend big money on inverter generators. You don't need them. This thing is made to handle dirty power. So like that little generator out there. Let's see how this is doing. Yep, still holding 15 amps. I could probably get more out of it. If I can get 1,000 watts out of that little engine, that would be pretty good. That'd be on par with the Predator 9500s that I was running last year, because I was getting, well, with the new jet and everything, and with that really dialed in and good fuel, I was getting 2300 watts, pretty consistent with that. You know, and that's the other thing too, is they always run stronger on a fresh hopper. They kind of degrade as the hopper is consumed, and I think that has to do with how much nitrogen CO2 is populating the hopper as the fuel is being consumed. It's being displaced with that CO2, and that dilutes the gas, so it's not quite as powerful as it is when you can't displace the hopper because the fuel's full. I don't know if that made sense, but but I guess deal with it. Alright, let's go back outside. Oh brother. So yeah, this has been an ongoing project for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. I shortened this to a short box, and then I got a brand new box up here. That'll be going on it soon. So I've been cleaning up back here. I got the Chevy 2 here. So as soon as that truck's done, then I got this one to do. And then I got a S10 project I gotta get done too. So yeah, go find somebody that can, start their gasifier up, and then walk around and talk and without a care in the world. You're not gonna find that. There's a reason that when you watch these gasifier videos, they're cut short to 2 minutes, 5 minutes tops. They're not showing you anything. They're only showing you, yeah, it runs for 2 to 5 minutes. And the reason they probably don't go longer than that is because that's as long as they can get it to stay running for. You can't fool me. I've been there. I've done it. So, and I gotta sleep at night. This product, I can sleep at night and sell it to you with confidence. It'll work for you the same exact way it's working for me right now on camera. When you see wood gas videos, tell these people start being honest, because they're not. They're showing you a 2 to 5 minute video. They're not showing you anything that's working. They're telling you a scam is what they're telling you. There's physics involved with this that they're not easily overcome. Put it that way. Yeah, this machine here, yeah, it's going to be cheaper and it will work, but it's not going to be as hands-free as that. There's a reason that costs what it does. that reason you're seeing it right there in front of your face. We'll see how the water is flowing. Oh yeah, if I turn it up a little bit. Got my hand up inside there. Well, yeah, the motor's nice and cool, so that's gonna work. But the gasifier will get hotter. Man, I like that little pump. That's pretty cool. So that's the goal, as long as I don't have to fiddle with it all the time. Kind of see where it pulls. That's about perfect. See what I'm talking about there? Oh, now it's not doing it. It's kind of pulling, but it's evaporating, right? So it's not accumulating. As long as it's not accumulating, you're good. Alright, so yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to shut this video down. Better do it quick before it stalls. No, I try to talk about stuff on purpose, just to show you, you know, but this is capable of doing that. And it's just not reality with other novice builders, you know, and I get it. I had to start out somewhere too. I was a complete idiot when I first started this whole thing. Thought I knew it all. But one thing I could bring to the table is I'm a builder. I can build stuff. I'm an engineer, and I can figure stuff out. So, but so yeah, it's doing what it's designed to do. Alright guys, I guess we're gonna call it a day. Thanks for watching.